Zeppos alongside Cougar head coach Nick Rolovich. Here's the voice of the Cougars, Matt Chazanow.
We are so excited to be here with you for the first Coach Rolovich show. We'd be excited anyway, but we're extra excited because we're going to play some football. And we're really excited as we're about to start this off that Zeppos was able to help get this going with social distancing policies in place. We are trying to do this as safely and as healthily as possible from the coaches and players on down, and especially because of our university president, Kirk Schultz, who is involved in an historic vote today. And I don't just want to talk about it. I'd like to talk to him. And he is now on the line with us right now off the top. President Schultz, this is a really exciting day for the Pac-12, isn't it? And thank you for taking the time to join us here over the phone.
Well, Matt, thanks for having me. And, yeah, it is a super day for the Pac-12, for Cougar athletics, and can't wait to see, at least on television, right? No fans allowed. Can't wait to see the Cougars on the field and see what Nick and his staff can do with our guys this year. Super excited.
So what happened today with this vote? What can you how much behind the curtain can you bring us for how this went down and what went on today at about 3:30?
Yeah, so we have been working for about the last week with our colleague presidents of the other 11 Pac-12 schools about, what would it take in terms of health and safety to get football going for the Pac-12. I think, once the Big Ten elected to play, we didn't want to be the last league out there that wasn't playing. Our players were ready to get on the field and compete. And so we had some very open and honest discussions amongst the different schools about what it was going to take to get us there. The rapid testing was really key. And then I appreciate Coach came over to the house last week. We sat down, had some pizza and some beers, and I needed to hear from him a little bit about how long would it take to actually get our guys ready to play safely. And I'm not talking about COVID-19, but how long is it going to take to make sure our guys are physically prepared for the game of football. And so Coach has been very helpful to me, and I was able to talk to some of my colleague presidents. And the key was today it was a 12-0 vote to get us restarted in November, and really excited about the season coming up.
One of the things that's so interesting about the Pac is it's got from Pullman to Los Angeles, from the desert to the Pacific Northwest, different market sizes, the most disparate market sizes, right, from Los Angeles to Pullman. What was it like? You said it was 12-0. Was it a really quick hand raise and then a discussion, or was it a discussion prior to get to that point where it was unanimous?
It was a discussion, and people shared different perspectives on what they were thinking. And what I'm really proud of is over the last week, almost all the presidents went, they talked to their coaches, athletic directors, faculty, athletics representatives, all of their boards and stuff like this. And so there are a lot of really good discussions. And one of the things that came up today is some of the schools that were a little concerned about starting up or had issues in their community would come back and go, man, I had these discussions with all these groups this week, and everybody was excited about, hey, you need to find a way to get football back going. And one of the things that came up from one of the presidents is he said he was really surprised that there was members of his community where that school is located that said, hey, it's kind of a discouraging time right now in a lot of communities, and we need college football. We need that excitement. It's going to pull us together and give us something to get excited for on a Saturday. So I think even though the markets go from big to small, what I heard today was a group of colleagues that said, hey, we got to find a way to get this done for our players, our fans, and we're going to do it in a safe way. But, hey, we want to compete for Pac-12 championships. We want to compete for national championships, and we need our guys on the field to do that.
Have you ever been a part of anything like this? Was there any precedent? Was there any context prior to this that prepared everybody for these discussions at a university president level where you're dealing with public policy and policy from the top of the state and from the top of the country all the way on down and what that means trickling down all the way to the Pac-12 and Pullman and L.A. and San Francisco, all that?
Yeah, it's I don't know that there's a lot of precedent for something quite like this, but there's a couple things that we thought were really important. Is one, we wanted to come out of this unified. If I said, hey, there was a a vote that was X to Y, everybody wants to know who was X and who was Y. And that was one of the core principles that we said, hey, we may argue back and forth as a group of presidents about what we ought to do or why, or different positives and negatives about starting in November or starting at a different time. But we said we got to come out of this so it's a 12-0 vote, and not an artificial 12-0 vote. We need everybody going, yeah, this is best for the conference. So I think that was kind of a core principle, and that was really important so that everybody sort of feels, hey, we're in this together, and as a pack, we're going to move forward. Personally, the last time I remember being in something quite like this is when I was chairing the Big 12 conference, and we had some teams leave, and we had to vote on who we were going to add into the league, and added West Virginia and TCU. And I remember not sleeping the night before, not sure how the vote was going to go and all that stuff. And this was really similar. I was pretty nervous coming into it, and just thrilled with the final result. The other thing to remember is, I'm a fan. I love college football. I love college basketball, the Cougs, and I've always been a sports fan. Not all my colleague presidents are necessarily sports fans. Some are very strict academics, and sports are kind of a necessary thing. And to me, as I got to know our student athletes over time, I'm like, I want to see them have that opportunity. And why they came to WSU is to get a great education and compete at an elite level. So I was behind the scenes pushing pretty hard that we need to get this done.
We're here with President Schultz, University President here for the Cougs. Coach, did you want to say something to President?
President, we just appreciate you, and if you ever need advice or need to converse over pizza and beer, I'm always available.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, that's all. Hey, thank you so much for the time. You mentioned unanimity in the voting, and that is 12-0, and there were no leaks. This was an airtight, sealed deal. That is not something that every conference can say. How hard was that with social media and with the discussions and all that? And then we'll let you go here, and we'll let you celebrate what is an exciting evening here for the Pack.
Yeah, I'm already done with beer 1, so I'm looking forward to beer 2 here. We talked about that when we watched our colleagues, just say around the country and other conferences, let me put it that way, with split votes, and that's all everybody wanted to talk about and things like that. And we said, look, if we're going to do this, we need to make sure that we come out of a unanimous and that we keep our mouth shut, and people aren't, just saying, I'm going to text one person and this and that. And I think that's really important, and it may be underappreciated, but what we need to do now is turn our focus not from the decision, but to getting back on the field and going 6-0 and getting that Pac-12 championship game. So anyway, I'm proud of my colleagues for keeping it tight and looking like we had our act together, and it's going to be a fun November, that's for sure. Can't wait.
Thank you for this time. We're really excited about it. We don't take it lightly. We will be responsible, and we'll be doing all the things that we can do here to keep good going and get back to it, and we really appreciate your time here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I thought I might tell Coach Rolovich about my records as president against some of the other Pac-12 schools. That I don't want to put any pressure on them.
We'll take it.
So,
we'll take it.
Anyway.
That's great. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, President.
Yeah, you bet. Go Cougs.
All right, that's awesome. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll get a reset. We'll come back. We'll talk football here with Coach Rolovich. We are live at Zeppo's. Excited to be here. Gardner Minshew is on the televisions here at Zeppo's. He's on the defense is out right now, so we'll get him out there in just a moment. We'll be back here live at Zeppo's. This is the Cougar Coaches Show. Zappos, it's the site.
Coaches Show.
I'll start.
U.S. Bank. Put your trust in a bank that's been focused on serving the people and businesses in Washington and all across the country since 1863. That's U.S. Bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Live from Zappos with Coach Rolovich. Here's Matt Chazanow.
Back here live. It is the first U.S. Bank Cougar Coaches Show. It's great to be here with Coach Rolovich. We just heard our university president, Kirk Schultz, talk about what is really an historic day in the league. The league season was postponed, not canceled, but postponed. They're bringing it back early. It'll be consistent now with the other Power 5 leagues, so all 5 will be playing. How excited are you? What was walkthrough like today, or the workouts like today? What's the state of the program?
They were excited because it started to leak a little bit right before they went out on the field. So they've been working real hard. It hasn't been easy as anybody could imagine for a young person. The majority of our time together has been spent via Zoom, and still getting to know the guys. But I think they're really excited to have at least a plan in front of them, because it's been so uncertain for them. We'll get going, then this happens and this happens. I think some consistency and just a schedule and a plan, just practice schedule is going to be very comforting to them, give them some normalcy. There's a hunger on the team that's fun to be around. Obviously, what I told them the other day was, if we get going, I apologize, but we're going to have to name starters at a point probably before we would be ready to. And you got to understand that, this is going to be an evolving season where you got to keep getting better. You talk about installs. Are you going to get everything in before the first game? What do you want to make sure you get good at and get in, and continue to build throughout the season? So it's definitely a different approach, a challenge. What I would really like to see is the Pac-12, stay together on this thing and do this thing at a real high level. And I think that'll send a real good message across the country.
Okay, there's a lot that we can unpack. There's a lot of meat on that bone, and I want to go with you mentioned starters, and you mentioned figuring out.
But just the ability to compete is not going to be the same as maybe going through spring ball, going through summer camp. Decisions are going to have to be made probably before we would want to. But that doesn't mean we don't love you. That doesn't mean you're not getting better. That doesn't mean your future is not bright. This is now about putting the best people on the field to win a football game.
To what degree do you feel like you're cramming for the test? Or is it now, okay, you can name starters and get a good, 5?
No, I don't think we name starters anytime soon. There is a little bit of that feeling cramming, but you're probably taking a quiz, not a test, or not a midterm. You know what I mean? Let's get – the things I worry about are we going to be prepared in, like, special situations? Mm-hmm. All those things that happen where you game-winning plays. We started with victory, just a walkthrough. Let's learn how to take a knee and win the game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of special team situations that cannot get overlooked. When you looked at the first week of college football, you're seeing a bunch of special teams touchdowns. I think there's some ball security issues that we need to really address. I gave them ball, make sure they're walking around with it at home, because they haven't been hit in a calendar year. They haven't really had a ball in their hand in competitive situations in a long time. So they have to take it upon themselves to make that an important factor of their everyday life. Maybe we won't get enough throughout practice.
So let's go back. You said ball security, and there's some other things you're trying to work on. How did you know? Because there hasn't been a lot of time. So was it film from last year? Was it observation over the last, the 12-hour weeks over the last couple weeks?
Well, it's just the if, there was this, maybe we're going to get started soon. All right, what can we not overlook? And I think those Hail Marys, Hail Mary defense, all those things. There's a huge list of them that you want to make sure you get in and make sure these guys are prepared with. But I was just sitting there thinking, these guys haven't caught a ball very often. They're not tucking it away. They're not getting tackled. So just try to look ahead at some of the issues that may pop up before it's too late.
What about the run shoot? The quarterback, wide receiver, offensive line?
Yeah, I love the offensive line as far as that at least is a real solid group that has some history playing together, has a lot of depth. And at least if you're going to start a season with maybe not everything you want in, at least you know you're going to be in good shape up front. Obviously, the quarterbacks, they need the reps, but you also got to make sure you take care of the receivers' legs. So, I know the virtual reality was something that was used here in the past. We're getting into that. Any kind of mental reps or visual reps that the quarterbacks can get will be important.
So you've got the guys in the headsets, and they're kind of surveying the
We're starting it up. We had film from the air raid where they could do it with, but you got to film it with a certain camera, and so we really haven't had that ability.
So I have never worn one myself. I'm trying to figure, if you put a virtual reality headset on them and you've got film of a run and shoot practice, they can kind of practice their reads like in the Cougar football complex. They don't have to be on the field.
Well, you just see it from a quarterback's angle, right? You can look this way and see the right side. You can look this way and see the left side. You can see leverage. You can see 2 high, 1 high safeties. You can see man coverage versus zone, things you can anticipate. I'm not sure if I think just the view is very important and the ability to, okay, now you're looking this way, that corner's off, we might take that throw, but have an idea what's happening on the backside. We're very front side, backside based in all of our stuff. So as you see the quarterback, he will drop one way or the other with a half roll, and that would be his front side, and he would come back to it on his backside.
We are loaded up with questions from folks who want to talk to you. Let's take. We're due for a break. We'll take it. We'll come back and we'll hit the Twitter.
You want me to slow down and stop talking?
No, I don't want you to stop.
We're hitting
never.
Breaks pretty fast.
I know we got to. I don't want to.
That gives us a chance to hit the fries.
We'll get some fries.
Yeah.
We'll do a fry. We'll get a little water refill. We'll do the whole
nice
deal.
Place. I'm glad we're open.
This place, the Depots is the best.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. It's great to see everybody who's here. A lot of our favorite faces are here at Zeppo's. We are live here with Coach Rolovich. First show of the year. We'll be right back here at Zeppo's.
Crimson does not get the yard. It's a goal line stand.
Live from Zeppo's, here's the voice of the Cougars, Matt Chazanow.
We are live here at Zeppo's with Coach Rolovich. It's great to be with you for the first Coach Rolovich show, and we're going to go to the Twitter questions now. We're loaded up. I don't know if we can get to all of them, but we'll try. But I want to start off with a shout-out to a very familiar name to Coug fans. Somehow in a game week for the boys down in Starkville, our very own former chief of staff, Super Dave Emmerich, asked you for a little flavor, a little sense of what the coaches show with Coach Leach kind of used to be like. And Dave, as he's getting prepped for the LSU Tigers,
he doesn't have any work to do.
Apparently, he wants to know your thoughts on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's where Dave Emmerich's head's at right now, getting set for LSU.
Well, I think what this shows, which all of you know, is how special of a place Pullman is in Washington State. Because if he's in a game week with LSU and still knows the coaches show's going on and still wants to be involved, it's very consistent with everyone who's been part of this program, and that's one of the more exciting things to be a part of. But back to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I'm a huge fan. I'm actually big on toasting the bread before peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Interesting.
Chunky peanut butter is kind of a change-up if you have it, right? A lot of people don't want to get a whole jar because they don't want it every time. But
I'm a huge advocate.
You're a chunk?
Personally, yeah.
Oh.
It's got to be smooth.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to smooth it out, keep it crunchy. Yeah,
Right.
Thanks to Super Dave for
thanks, Dave.
Staying connected with the family,
right,
and also with the hard-hitting questions for Coach Rolovich. Do you and folks always want to know about uniforms? They want to know about helmet choices. Do you already know uniform combos and helmet choices? Do you have a favorite? Will Kirk asks if you have a favorite helmet.
I have to be honest that I haven't really been focused on the helmet choices so far this year.
I get that.
I love the color scheme. I don't get involved with that too much. I think our leadership council will have a say. I'd like to make sure that they want to represent, or they want to wear what they want, and have a say in how we look. But I think Nike and just whoever's designing the uniforms, I think it's a real unique look that people know what it is when they see it.
Sure. No, it's the best, the crimson and gray, and everybody knows it. Hey, LJ wants to know, it just kind of throws it out there vaguely in a real football question. How's Jake Dickert been doing? How's the defensive side of the ball, and what can you share with us about the defensive staff?
I think, we haven't played a practice yet, but I've been really impressed with his ability to midstream adjust his teaching styles. Nobody wants to teach installs via Zoom, but I think he's been very consistent with his guys. I think he's found ways to teach them as best you can via Zoom. I walk by his office all the time. He's got his phone up and his film's up, and it's shooting the film, and he's talking, and he's got a tripod, and he's and it's really been beneficial. It's really forced coaches to get out of their comfort zone and find other ways to be successful, not only in coaching the guys we have, but also in the recruiting game. I think our recruiting department has done a fantastic job of showing what Pullman and Washington State have to offer these young men and their families. And we've had great presentations about the nutrition, about academics, about travel to Pullman. I mean, just all the aspects that they would probably experience on a visit. We tried to give it to them virtually. A lot of work went into it, and I think it was very effective.
How big of a challenge, and to a large degree you just answered that, but the whole league hasn't been playing. But some kids are from L.A. or from Seattle. Fewer are from Pullman or maybe Spokane. But how big of a challenge for the Cougs has this all been for recruiting for the next class?
I think they've really taken to our staff as far as – because I just tell their guys, just be honest, do the right thing. If this is a very special place, but for the right people. And if a kid – doesn't want to come here, we don't want to trick them into coming here. We want guys that want to be here. We want families that value a lot of the things I think our community values. I think the safety has been a big selling point. I think I don't know if in Hawaii we would call it the Aloha spirit, but I think there's a very similar spirit in this town and in all our alumni. So I think those are the things, especially with the crazy times we're in, coming to Washington State to play football and being in a good community where you can laugh and have fun and play in front of impassioned fans and a fan base that's got a high level of energy, there's an attraction there.
The topography is a little different. The layout's a little different, but what other similarities have you seen from your experience, if any, at Hawaii and all of your times there? You've been with the Warriors for a long time as a player, as a coach. What did you transfer over that you think are good parallels?
Oh, I think the one that stands out is the that spirit of taking care of each other. You know, you hear Cougs take care of Cougs. You know, it's very similar to, I think, how the whole state of Hawaii lives too. So it's very familiar to me, and I appreciate that.
Coug 2010 asks, and this may be going back to the Nevada and Hawaii days as well, but do you have a favorite opponent stadium that you've played at? Have you been to the Pac-12, all of the Pac-12 stadiums?
Haven't played at Utah.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a favorite Pac-12 stadium yet, you know.
How about a non-Pac-12? Is there one that
I
sticks
really
out?
liked playing at Fresno State.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, you know, they got that funny bulldog with the weird elbows on the bulldog. I used to make fun of them. We had some good good John back and forth. I think they got real passionate fans and real nice rivalry with Hawaii.
That's fun. That's awesome. Brian wants to know about sort of the nuts and bolts of what the players have been able to do. He asks, has the team...
Well, let's go back to Coach Dickert because I think there's more there. I think there's more there. You know, obviously we talked about how he's adjusted and his staff is adjusted, but there's also a question mark, right? You've got 3 guys that have worked together, 2 that haven't. There's also a mesh and a gelling that has to happen on staff. And, you know, those are things we talk about openly too. Listen, we're going to get in a game, and I know I try to talk nice to you guys, but in a game I may say something that you guys might not like. It might be out of what you guys know me as, so just don't take it personally. I'm just trying to win the football game. And but inside that defensive staff room, you know, they've got to learn to be one voice too, or one heartbeat too, as they go forward with defense. And I like the system. I think there's a system. I think Jake and the coaches know the answers, and I think that's a real positive thing that the defensive players can sense, and it gives them confidence.
What is the system? Is it 3-3-5? Is it and
no? It's more of a 4-2-5 system. So you'll see a 4 down front more of the time. But I watch them work on defense, and you know the guys on the offensive side. We all worked together before, so we kind of have the system and how we want to do things. But it seems to have been really a smooth when they go out and work. There's not a lot of, hey, what do we do here? You know, they're all on the same page, and I think that really shows the team that that builds their confidence up within the system. You know, you need to establish belief. You need to establish that this is good for them right now, and I think they've done a good job with that.
How will it work on game day with who's in the booth and who's on the field and headsets and who's talking to whom? Is that set yet?
Yeah, it's set, but you know, there's offensively, Brian Smith usually goes up.
Okay.
I know there's still some discussions on the defensive side of the ball on who's going up and who's going down, but that's something you also usually work through practice situations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And who's going to control the D-line or who's going to control the back end. You know, I think Jake likes being on the field calling plays, which I also do too. So for us on offense, it would be Andre Allen and Brian Smith upstairs. So,
and really, you'd alluded to kind of 2 stabs meshing here. It's Hawaii and Wyoming, right? Hawaii offense and the Wyoming defense, which if you look back at the Mountain West statistics is fantastic. The Mountain West Coach of the Year and a Hawaii offense that was really unreal, and then a Wyoming defense that had an incredible reputation in the league, and 2 groups trying to mesh together.
And a reputation that I think defensively this region of the country will appreciate very much. And that was a lot in talking to Jake and Coop and Jay Rich to come over. Not only they were very consistently that way in the Mountain West defensively. They were hard-nosed, they were smart, they worked, they played hard. I mean, there was not a lot of stupid penalties. You know, those things we don't have time for, especially in a shortened season. But they also, back to recruiting, did a really good job developing players. They did a really good job, understanding the recruiting process for some kids, not tricking them to come into Wyoming, going there because of the opportunities or the aspects of that college that they wanted to be part of.
One of them is a on Gardner Minshew's team right now. Winger, the safety, who was
I remember him.
He was a really good ball player.
Yes, he was.
The Cowboys.
I'm sure he still is.
Yeah, he's a safety now for the Jaguars.
All right, we got to put one in here, Gardner.
Yeah.
Big play, 3rd and 5.
Minshew with a little scoop out there, and not allowed to do play-by-play of a game on TV.
I apologize.
Just so you know.
All right.
No, we can talk about
one penalty.
That's
a personal foul.
Yeah, I think so. It's not not a targeting though.
Not a targeting.
No, it's all good.
Go to review.
Yeah, it's all. Hey, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We're live here with Coach Rolovich at Zeppo's first coaches show of the year. Season just announced. We'll be back here next.
This message is
Interact with the show. Tweet your questions for Coach by tagging the handle _Chaz. Live from Zeppo's with Coach Rolovich. Here's Matt Chazanow.
Live here at Zeppo's. It is the first show of 2020. It's great to be with everybody. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly with Coors Light. All right, we've got a question here from Dana Stevenson that I think would be answerable in every year except this one since 1944, I believe, going all the way back. And that is, how many days until the Apple Cup? And I don't know that we know that because I don't think it's scheduled right now. I don't know that we know the date. What do you think?
We don't know the date yet. I know it's supposed to be 64 days from now.
How do you know? How do you know that?
I keep it on the phone.
That's amazing. So you keep the countdown to the Apple Cup on the phone.
Yep.
Incredible. So when did that?
Ever since the press conference, I get that question a lot, and I want to make sure
it's
can answer it.
That's a point of focus. Oh, you're getting compliments on the hat here.
Oh, am I?
From people they love the hats anyway.
Right.
And I think they've kind of latched on to the whole hat situation.
Oh, I know.
Which is great.
Yeah, it is great. I actually got a hat custom fitted this year.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm only bringing it out one time. I'll bring it out.
It's
not yet.
A custom deal.
Well, yeah, fit you up and
really.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah.
When did that start? The whole when did you
I don't know. I just kind of always wore a hat at practice and kind of wore it all year.
Maybe
at practice.
For the sun or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
I mean, it's important. Stay out of the sun, cover up,
stay healthy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a big sunscreen fan.
Right. I mean, slather it on. Yeah, it's not terribly comfortable. I want to go back a little bit, and I want to ask you about your bio, and I want to dig in a little bit here. You grew up in the Bay Area.
Yes.
And when did football for you become important? When did football in your life become something that you thought would be something you'd really pursue and try to be a pro quarterback?
Well, this is going to take me back to growing up in San Francisco, but today is my father's birthday, so I want to show happy birthday to my dad.
Happy
today.
Birthday to
Thanks, Pops.
Papa Rolovich.
Yeah. But I remember one of my earliest memories is my grandfather taking me to Golden Gate Park to play catch, and then we came home and watched Joe Montana play on I don't know, there wasn't much, I don't know if it was color TV yet or not, but I remember that was a memory that I just haven't forgotten. Really enjoyed just throwing the ball, playing street football with friends. But really, throughout high school is when it kind of really stepped up.
So first of all, was Joe Montana your guy?
My guy.
Candlestick Park in the Niner. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in the backyard trying to throw to Jerry Rice.
Breaking lawn chairs. I put them all over and just
hit targets.
Hey, Dad, sorry about that. I'll buy you new lawn chairs for your birthday.
That's awesome. So you're in high school, and you realized you were pretty good.
I wasn't that good. Nobody liked me. I didn't even have an opportunity to walk on anywhere.
Is that right?
Yeah. I also didn't know where I wanted to go to college, for sure. So went to City College of San Francisco and learned a tremendous amount from that coaching staff. George Rush and Dan Hayes. Andre Allen was actually on that staff coaching me when I was and I gray-shirted, and I sat and I watched and I practiced and had a couple good years, and then some opportunities came. So,
how much did the experience with the Rams affect the rest of your entire football life?
Completely changed my trajectory. I was around tons of different people from all over the country, guys who either were good enough but didn't have the grades. Everyone had a different story. But the thing about JC football, what you learn is there's not, a meal waiting for you after practice. There's not, you get the cleats that were left over from maybe the 49ers a few years ago because they're throwing them out. We took them. I mean, it was guys had a real top-to-bottom, genuine love for the game. And for a lot of them, and for most of us at that level, that was our last chance to keep playing football and keeping the dream alive to play like these guys on Sundays or Thursday nights. But I think of all the places I've been as far as levels, high school, there's guys that just want to be on the team, to say they're on the team, wear their jersey on Friday, ride to school and walk around big chest. At junior and at Division I level, there's guys that begin to realize maybe I'm not going to run this football thing for very long. I'm going to start going on a different career path. And they're just happy with the scholarship. But at junior college, nobody has anything that would encourage them to keep going other than an internal drive to see how good they can be.
That's a place that, especially of late, has meant a lot to Cougs. There have been a lot of really good Cougs who've come from that program. Shalom Luani, and you could go down the list. Derek Langford, another O-lineman. We had like 6 City College guys come on in. And I think that, people make that connection, and they see you, and then they see Andre Allen, and they realize there's kind of maybe a blueprint here in terms of recruiting that might fit.
I think it definitely helps because of our relationships there, but they're well coached. They do similar stuff offensively, so there's an easier transition. But no, there's a lot of good junior colleges, but City College has done a really good job pumping out players to the Division I level.
I think Rob Valencia was who I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah, I remember that name.
Big Rob.
Big Rob,
yeah. So you go from City College to Hawaii.
Yes.
And you take over for Timmy Chang, and Timmy Chang was putting up big numbers. You put up monstrous numbers. June Jones, the run and shoot, and it all takes off. And you go to Broncos camp, and in a couple years, you went from not having an opportunity to walk on to setting big time numbers with the Warriors and having a chance to go to the NFL. What was that like for you?
Happened fast, but one lesson that I tell all of our kids, whether it's high school or junior college kids coming in, is you can't waste this opportunity, because I almost did. I did not keep doing the things that got me to that level the first year I got to Hawaii. I made bad choices socially. It's not like getting arrested or doing a bunch, but I wasn't doing the things that a high-level college football athlete should be doing. And, being a quarterback, you have the ability to bring people along with you. And even though I was able to get up and go to practice, that wasn't the best decision for the rest of the team. I ended up starting and getting benched and almost lost my opportunity to be sitting here with you in Zeppo's having some fries and talking kook football, but not everybody gets that second chance. And I'm very open and honest about it. And I think it's hopefully a lesson for the guys coming into our program or really any program. I'll tell it to them.
You go from Hawaii to Germany.
Yeah.
You're playing football in the World Football League.
Yeah.
You're in NFL Europe.
Right.
You played for the Rhine. The Rhine, excuse me.
Fire,
the Rhine Fire.
Yeah.
In Rhine, Germany. Is that right?
Right around Cologne, Dusseldorf.
Okay. What was that like? What is it like playing American football in Germany?
It was, you're wearing beer sponsors on your chest, and we were in a dome, and they were smoking cigarettes in the dome.
Is that right?
You come out of the locker room, and there's a table full of the beer-sponsored beer right there. It was like, it was a whole different deal. But very passionate fans in Germany for American football. I think it has a lot to do with some of our military bases and the history in that country. They really took to it. And there's been a lot of, whether you call them club teams, but there's a lot, even Sweden, Finland. I mean, we played in Barcelona, Scotland we played in. So it was a great, as a college football player, you don't always get the I'm going to go take a semester abroad deal. But that's kind of what it was. We got to see Europe and play football and see cultures and see places. See, the cathedral in Cologne is something I'll never forget. I mean, it was a real great opportunity for me and our teammates.
And then you go to the Arena Football League, right? Arizona Rattlers, and then you kind of overlapped your playing career with your coaching career. Is that right?
Because arena football is all in the spring, so I had to go back and finish my degree. So I was playing in San Jose, and then I was going back to Hawaii for a semester in the fall. I was helping out in the equipment room there. And then coming back and playing arena football and going back in the fall to just graduate,
So you're playing pro ball, and you're in the equipment room helping out with the Warriors. So you must have known were you trying to get your degree, or did you know you wanted to get into coaching?
I knew that I probably couldn't afford my full tuition, so if I could get in the equipment room and get a tuition waiver, and it was great. Jerry Glanville was the defensive coordinator, and he was hilarious. But I tell guys, how do I want to get started? I said, what years did it? I mean, you're talking about 17 years ago. I was working in the equipment room, unloading carts for the Warriors as they're getting ready to play. So it happens fast, but it's good to know all those aspects when you get into a head coaching role. You understand how the equipment room works, how those, what those guys need a hello. They need a thank you. You know what I mean? You just have an appreciation for everybody who's involved with putting on a football game for 110, 120 student athletes.
Do you feel like you have a unique relationship with Milton Neal?
Oh, I love Milton, JP. Yeah,
they're the best, aren't they?
You just once you're in the equipment room, you're always in the equipment room. I think they smelt it out when I got on campus.
they figured it out.
Yeah, they knew I had a little
bit. They could
of,
sense it.
Yeah,
I love it. Hey, we'll take a break. We're back here in just a minute here with Coach Rolovich. First show of the year, 2020. It's the Coach Rolovich Show here at Zeppo's.
This isn't
Talking ball here with Coach Rolovich. As Coach, if you're watching, Coach went up to the to go get a water refill, and now he's hopping back here. We've got a season schedule announcement. There we go. Season schedule announcement as of today for about 6 weeks from now. I came from practice when it was announced, or not practice, but the workout, and got here and was trying to do the math. So it's 7 games, conference only. Have you had time to process this at all? You must have gotten word on the field.
When are we going to get a schedule? I just wanted.
Well, that's a great question. I don't even know that we know the. That's a great question.
You know what's been real interesting is I do commend the Pac-12 for the communication throughout this whole summer. I mean, we're probably closer as a coaches in the conference because meeting every week
as coaches
with the conference, probably 25, 30 different schedules. So our poor GAs and quality controls have broken down, okay, no, this might be the first game, right? And they go break them down. So I think we're in a good place as far as game prep and scouting reports.
Let's talk quarterbacks real quick, and then we need to take a break.
Yeah.
There are 4 of them on the roster right now. Is that right? Who are they, and what do you think of them?
Cam Cooper, right? Gunner, Cruz, Jaden DeLora, and Victor Gabales.
Okay. So Jaden DeLora's big freshman recruit, and then Cam Cooper's been here a few years. Gunner Cruz has been here a few years, and the 4th, I believe, is a walk. Victor's a walk.
Victor Gabales, yeah.
Victor's a walk. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how do they look, and who do you think is?
It's hard to say. We haven't seen a whole lot of them. I appreciate all of their focus and effort. There's not a lot of nonsense with them. I think they understand that this is a pretty intense quarterback battle they've all entered into. And Victor is probably going to be the guy who's going to learn and kind of feel his way in as a freshman. I think Jaden came in with the mindset he wanted to compete. And you got Cam. I've probably from when we first met Cam and Gunner. Gunner's done a really good job on his body. I think he's become more athletic. He's leaner, and he's so far he's done a real good job, especially with communication up front and Cam is getting back with us. People left and came back throughout the last month or so. So we're finally all together. But I told them all, listen, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be very hard on you guys at practice. I mean, it's one position, especially at this school with the history, that I don't think you can go any further than demanding excellence. And these kids. I said, I love you all, but, when we're practicing, I'm going to be hard on you guys. I want to see how you deal with adversity. I want to see how you deal with hard coaching, but also mix in a lot of love when they do good things. But it's going to be it's got to be a quick evaluation period with these guys, and it's going to be tight. I can already sense it.
Well, maybe we'll have to ask the question again next week off the top of the show. Figure out.
Well, we got to see what they're going to let us do. We got to find all the rules now. So
we'll take a break. We'll come right back here. This is the last break of the show. We'll come right back for our final segment with Coach Rolovich here at Zeppos.
This is the U.S. Bank Cougar Coaches Show.
Somersaults in. Football first touchdown.
U.S. Bank. Put your trust in a bank that's been focused on serving the people and businesses in Washington and all across the country since 1863. That's U.S. Bank. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC. Live from Zeppo's with Coach Rolovich. Here's Matt Chazanel.
Couple of minutes left here in the show. It's our final segment. It's great to be here with Coach Rolovich. Our first show of 2020, our first ever Coach Rolovich show. And I want to go back to the top. We had President Schultz talk off the top about really an historic vote, an important vote that we'll look back on and say, hey, we've got 7 football games coming up. You're getting the guys ready to roll now. I'm sure there was a different energy today, and everybody must be just so fired up.
What timing! You're like a wise sage to schedule this on this day.
Yeah, I feel
really nice job.
Well, there was a moment. I know.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, right. Like stars aligning.
That's right.
We got Gardner on TV on a Thursday.
Look at this. Yeah,
we got the Cougs kickoff announced.
That's right.
Coach Rolovich show kind of had to happen, didn't it?
Great job. Great planning.
Hey, thank you for this. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for coming down and supporting Zeppo's, and I appreciate the hour you gave us here. So.
Super excited for future weeks, and huge thanks to Jerry Kylo and to Jared Prenguber and to Mike Morabito back in the studio and to everybody who showed up here, our loyal folks. You guys are the best. And to Zeppo's and Chris and everybody, thank you guys. We'll stay socially responsible and all the good stuff, and go Cougs. And we can't wait to kick off. See you next week. This is awesome.
That is awesome. Great first experience. Thank you.